Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Brendan, and I'm a peer mentor and resource support officer with SBH Disability Services. And today we're going to be presenting a bit of a Q&A session between myself and George, who's also on this session with me. He is also a peer mentor and resource support officer. Yep, I'm just doing some admin here in the background. So the role of a peer mentor is basically to share our lived experience with family members and family members with disabilities to help them navigate their way through tricky situations that they may not have the answers to at any one time. And we also help out in the office with program preparation and administrative support like that. So we're going to do a bit of a welcome to country now. So we would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we meet today and pay our respects to the elders past and present. And now I'm just going to hand it over to George to introduce himself.
Good afternoon, everyone. George here, and welcome to our first of many webinar series for 2022. As Brendan said before, I'm one of the peer mentors also working at SBH Disability Services, and welcome along. And just a little bit of housekeeping to get started. Videos and microphones of participants will be muted, but please feel free to add a question into the chat box, and at the end of the session we will respond to them as best we can. Please remember that the responses are general in nature. If you need to clarify something that's very important to yourselves, please do contact the staff at SBH Queensland, and they will help you, and we'll go from there. So firstly, what we'd like to do is this afternoon just a quick intro into what we have planned for the year. These are just some of our topics that are coming up. General discussion topics over the year: lived experience, independent living, legal matters, NDIS planning, social work OT, physio and early childhood, aging, living with spina bifida, employment, travelling, neuropsychology Hydrocephalus and Paralympians, and peer mentors, and live Q&A. And as I said, in the meantime, if you've got any questions, please put them in the chat box, and we'll get to them as when we can. So I'll go back to our first session, which will be on March the 8th, is legal matters. This is cut up into two sessions. We'll be covering wills, trusts, legal issues related to a disability, medical independent living. And then in session 2, there's a fair bit there: guardianship admin, enduring power of attorney, estate planning, assets, wills, and everything else that goes with it. What happens if it's a valid will, and everything like that. And then in May we have Dr. Michelle Swan, a neuro.
She's a paediatric.
She's a paediatric, kid psychologist, and there'll be two people presenting that one. Then on the 14th of June, we'll be having public housing versus specialist disability accommodation, navigating the public health system, existing housing, transferring to new premises, and all that sort of stuff. And then going from there, we're going to go into the 12th of July, and we'll be having an OT from SBH Disability Services and from Coloplast, talking about sexuality, sexual health, sexual activity, incontinence, assistive technology, and for sexuality. Then on the 9th of August, sporting options from Sporting Wheelies, who we probably all know about. covering anything from para sports to your local sports. And as I said before, if you've got any questions, please feel free to throw them into the chat box. I'll pass it back over to Brendan now.
Okay. The next session will be on the 13th of September based on support coordination with guest speakers Kari Heffler and Paul Bellert from Access Support Coordination. The session time is 1 p.m. till 2 p.m. And the topics included in this session will be around NDIS planning, as in maximising the most of your plan, planning for your planning meeting with the NDIS or your local area coordinator, what you can do to prepare, what you can't do in your plan, what is self-managed and what is agency managed. So it gives you a bit of a breakdown about what's the important features around those two types of plans management systems.
So we go on to next. October 11 is travelling with disability. As we all know, we all like to travel, and it's a big part of our lives. So we've got two guest speakers, special guest speakers, both Paralympians, and we do have a travel agent who will be able to give us all the background, all the nitty-gritty into what we can and can't do and how we go about it. I do see we got. I think we have a couple of questions in the chat box there.
Somebody was asking about how to turn up the volume.
Okay.
I'm not 100% sure on that one.
Sorry about that, guys. The volume should be on your computer somewhere, whether it be on the Zoom one or the. All good? Okay, no problem. So, and was the other one? No other one? Okay. So yeah, so we all like to travel and we all like to do things, and so we get special tips from two Paralympians and a travel agent. Now we also back in November, which is not confirmed yet, but we are working on it. It's early childhood toileting strategies and teaching and managing toileting, because we all have to learn that as we grow up and from a young age, because we all got different disabilities and different ways of doing things, so we're not all the same. So hopefully these sessions will be able to get you to think about how we do things and what we do things, and if you have any ideas on what topics that we could cover with these sessions, that we may we may not run out of time, but we may have a little bit extra time we can cover it, please do give us a hoy and get in touch with us, and we'll do our best to get those topics out to you. But what I want to do, I might just go back to the first one, and which is legal matters. And I know a lot of us with a disability do have legal matters, whether we've got someone to help us with different things, independent living and medical. I myself are going through a bit of an issue at the moment because we have a bit of a family problem. I won't really go into that. And so, we've got to look at wills, we've got to look at trusts, we've got to look at, all that sort of stuff, independent living. And so it's not an easy road, but we're hoping that with that first session that we can help everybody, and lay some myths to rest and get support in place if you need it, and help each other get through things. Yeah, go for it.
So, I'm just going to add to what George has said here. So this session is going to be hosted, is going to be guest speakered by Kate Muller from Brian Mitchell Solicitors. So Kate is a senior solicitor, associate solicitor, and she will be talking about wills, how to prepare one and why you should have one in place, and things like how they can be challenged and things you can do to prevent that from happening. She'll also talk about trusts and how you use those, particularly there is a special kind of trust called a disability trust, which can be used to help put money aside for the later years for a family member with a disability. And then there's the legal issues related to disability in terms of capacity and decision making. So Kate's going to touch on that a little bit, and then that will be expanded on in the next session after that in April. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about independent living again, and again that's down to capacity to make decisions and adult guardianship and things like that.
And do you want to talk a little bit more about the about Dr. Michelle Swain?
Yeah, so Dr. Michelle Swain is a neuropsychologist. She's a pediatric neuropsychologist, so she specialises in children only. So she has asked that any questions related to hydrocephalus in adults be sort of referred to us for forwarding to another neuropsychologist, because her specialty is children. But she works out of the Queensland Children's Hospital, and that session, the neuropsychology session, is going to focus on hydrocephalus and its implications and strategies to cope with the condition.
Great. Thanks for that, Brendan. And we'll just keep moving on again. And I know we went through that a bit quickly, but I'd like to just cover a few more things. With the housing, I know I was looking for housing probably about 12, 18 months ago. I didn't know where to go. So I looked into it and I thought about private housing or public housing. It's a big one. So I know a lot of us have trouble with trying to find the best housing. And it's not easy, but if you know what you want, how you want to get in touch with it, and how you want to do things, just please make sure you get in touch with SBH Disability Services, and the OTs and physios and everybody here would be more than happy to help you navigate through that. And on that other note, there's another thing that I mean, it's pretty personal, is sexuality. I mean, we all have that dream of having kids and getting married, and seeing kids grow up and have grandkids, and be grandparents. And some of us are lucky enough to do that. Some of us may not be able to get there, but that's a big part of my life, because we're all pretty active, and we all want to be like everybody else. So if you've got any questions about that sort of stuff, just please let us know, and we're more than happy to answer that. I think we do have a question there, Brendan, somehow. I'll pass it back to you.
Sorry, everybody, I was just reading the question. So the question is, will the legal session go into how to work with a law? E.g., can I bring my support work to meet with a lawyer? I couldn't possibly see a problem with that, but yes, that's a question that can be asked in the legal session. After the presentation is completed, we'll be opening it up to questions from the floor. But just principally, I couldn't see why you wouldn't be allowed to bring a support person with you to meet with a solicitor. Whether it be to help you to remember key things from what you're going to discuss in the meeting, to supporting you during the day. Okay.
Thanks, Brendan. Yeah, so that was a good question. And we may not know the perfect answer to that, but when we do get into the legal matters, we will find out that question for you. We have a list of questions that we'll be asking the presenters on the day, and that'll be one of them. So thanks for that, whoever they sent that in. That was great. And so now we might, sorry about that. So we've got the sporting, so sports is a fairly big one again. I'm not sure if some of you may know, may not know. Part of my growing up was quite a bit about sports, and knowing Paralympians and wanting to represent your country, wanting to represent your state, and all that. It was a big part of my life back then. So hopefully when John and Darren come in on that day, they'll be our guest speakers. They'll be able to answer all your questions, and we'll go from there. And you know, the hardest part was getting started and where to find the information to get started. And then support coordination. I think everyone knows what, you know, NDIS is like. It's good if it's done right, and we're hoping that the two guest speakers in this one will be able to, you know, help us with NDIS planning, making the most out of it, planning for meetings. You know, what can you do, what can't you do, what is better, self-managed or agency managed. You know, they'll be able to answer all those questions, because I know some of us are managed by a support coordinator, some of us managed by someone else, and some of us are all are self-managed. So there are quite a few questions that have already been sent in to us, which is fantastic. Again, travelling, we've already covered that, the 2 Paralympians and the early childhood. So what I'd like to do now, guys, is if you've got any questions so far, I know we've had a couple of them, which has been great. We might just cover some questions that have been sent in to us by people from before our session today, and I'll pass it back over to Brendan to take it over.
Thank you, George. Just here we go. Okay. So the first question that we have is, how are people supported with evidence for their specialist disability accommodation application? And what is the strongest and best evidence for people with spina bifida and or hydrocephalus? So we've got some really important information here before I get to the nuts and bolts of the question. So the SDA scheme was only funded for 8% of the most high care NDIS participants with extreme functional impairment. So that means, you know, that you need some element of daily physical support to do daily activities in your home. And the application processes use about 16 hours of occupational therapy and is about 30 pages long. And the best evidence is the amount of support hours, including informal supports, which is support by parents and siblings and other family members, the person is currently receiving, and how many additional hours are required to help the person to meet their goals. It is recommended to contact a specialist disability accommodation support coordinator, and it is, and we'd like to remind you that it is a lengthy process that often ends with the participant being unsuccessful for the supported disability accommodation. SDA providers are over-promising at these expos to get as many SDA applications as possible, because the National Disability Insurance Agency is not approving a very high number of applicants, because they've only funded it for 8% of the most high care participants on the NDIS scheme. So acceptable types of evidence are allied health professional reports about your daily support and housing needs to improve, maintain or prevent your functional capacity from getting worse, reduce your future support needs, create better connections with your family, community, health service and education and employment. Details about your identity, so it could be anything from a 18 plus card or birth certificate or something like that. The main reasons for requesting the SDA, so why you'd want SDA versus a public housing, your current living arrangements and why they're not adequate for you, housing and living support goals, so what your goals include in your plan in terms of housing and living supports, the support you need, how you currently manage everyday tasks, healthcare needs, NDIS plan and program assessments and reports, assistive technology and home modification requirements and decision-making processes, And it's important that your SDA housing goals are consistent with your NDIS plan goals. For example, to live as independently as possible. For more, you can see the NDIS guidelines for accessing SDA and a flowchart from the Summer Foundation, which I will post in the chat box for you.
Thanks, Brendan. And just also, guys, with all that, I know it's pretty in depth and it's a lot to get through. Don't forget, make sure you contact SBH Disability Services to help you with your NDIS planning and your meetings. The staff or therapists here are more than happy to come with you to a meeting and help you set up and write goals down and help you with all that. Also now with aging, with disability, aging with SBH and hydrocephalus and housing. The answers that we got was aging well Zoom meetings, which there is a Zoom meeting on tomorrow night, and the link will be posted onto into the chat very soon, hopefully. Legal seminars in March and April, of course. The SBH Disability Service free resources. The links are there for you to click on when we finish. We'll have all this posted. Don't forget, this is being recorded. It will be up on the website, so you can click on the information and have a look. So if you're too busy trying to write things down, don't worry. We're recording it and we'll be posting all this stuff after the session finishes today. Information about public housing for seniors. There again, we've got the link. And then we'll work readiness through tips for early childhood toileting and lumbar syndrome. I'll pass it over to Brendan for you to take care of this one. Sorry, guys, we're just reading some messages. Thanks for sending them through. We'll answer them very shortly. Okay, so if you want to submit into the chat box, all you've got to do is look up on Zoom along the top row or on the bottom row, depending on where your taskbar is. And it'll have like a little circle or a little question there, and it'll say chat. Click on that and then put your question into the app. Does that help you guys? If you can just put your thumb up, thank you. So that one, if you're okay, so just put it into the chat box and we'll get to you as soon as we can. Okay, guys, we're just having a little bit of a technical glitch here, so we'll just give it a couple of minutes if you don't mind, and we will get started again. I'm just trying to find it as well. So the Zoom. Yeah, that's it, mate. You got it? Okay. Sorry about that, guys. This first time us doing it today, and we're just having a few little glitches. So we're right.
So I just wanted to remind everybody too that there is a Zoom session around aging tomorrow between 6 and 7 p.m. 6 to 7?
6 or 7.
Yeah. And so if you'd like to register your interest, you can do so using the email addresses that we'll provide at the end of this presentation.
Okay, thanks, Brendan. So on to our next question. Work readiness. Now, I know Brendan's been working on this one for quite a while because he's our resident work readiness expert. So I might just pass it back over to Brendan to answer these questions. And as I said again, please feel free to get in touch with us. Work readiness, mate, up on the screen.
Okay, thanks, George. So, yeah, there was a question around readiness thoughts and tips for early childhood toileting. Sorry, it looks like, what are we doing? Okay, for early childhood toileting with lumbar syndrome. So the education team can support schools with this kind of information by completing some forms for the school. SBH Disability Services is writing a new toileting resource that will be available soon on the website. However, there are some links that I can share with you today that will lead you to an existing resource that we have. And in relation to readiness thoughts, the thoughts are mainly around toileting schedules and routines for school support staff, so teacher aides that are assigned to the child, and yeah, making sure that there's consistency with that. Continence products that can be stored at the school in classroom cupboards and in a special trolley, and encouraging independence with self-care, washing hands routine and dressing themselves. So the education team can do like a visual schedule if that's something that would be appreciated. And then there's the MACE as well, which is a port that's in the belly button that goes into the bladder and or colon to help with bladder and bowel management. So it's not usually done at school. It does need to be monitored, as doctors could be trialling medication dosages to help with accidents and things like that. The teacher just needs to know that they could be late in doing MACE in the morning, as it can be a bit of a lengthy process. So stomas will need some management. We'll need a management plan. So the stoma, there are free services with stoma nurses at schools in Queensland if the child is at private schools. And we also, SBH Disability Services also provides free continence resources, which I will provide a link to you now.
But don't forget, everyone, here at SBH Disability Services, we do have physios, we do have education, we do have OTs, we do have quite a few services that you're quite welcome to get in touch with. And the more that we can help you guys, the better we we'll be happier to do that. So I'll pass it back to Brendan, and we'll change slides.
Yeah, sure.
All right, guys. So this one here is a question that we had from a mum. My child has spina bifida and is looking for their first job after finishing high school. Any tips on where he should be able to start a search? So what we do here at SBH Disability Services, we are running a work readiness program, and we cover anything from resumes to cover letters to interviews to doing job searches to applying for jobs. A little bit on the computer training and anything to get you ready for that. And of course, we have the occupational therapist here that can help you with modifications in the workplace if you need. Disability Employment Services is a DES provider, like employment agencies. you go to TAFE or you go to university, you can do an apprenticeship, traineeship through any of the groups in training, volunteering in Queensland or here at SBH, experiencing poor mental health and know not what to do. So, that's another question that came through. So, mental health action plan, which we do a program called not actually mental health, but it's Pain the Retreat, where we learn how to look after ourselves and think positively and get motivated to do things. So, or you call the disability services, call social networks, find and create meaningful routines. A routine during the day will help with your mental health. Regular exercises, which is great, and last but not least, and more importantly, make sure you've got the phone number to here to SBH Disability Services, where the social workers can help you, Lifeline or 000. So that's the and one last question. I might just pass that back over to Brendan to finish off.
Thank you, George. So the final question we have at the moment is participant declined intense therapy for continuation of rehabilitation by NDIS, where they have exhausted health resources. What supportive documentation can assist with better NDIS outcomes? So the primary sources of supporting evidence documentation they would need would be reports and letters of support from therapists and medical staff. Also, probably a participant and or carer statement regarding the functional impact of current situation of the person and how they believe the intense therapy will allow them to reach NDIS identified goals. Okay.
Okay, thanks for that, Brendan. I see that we have another question somewhere there. No, number 6. Was there did someone put up a question that we haven't answered yet? Okay. So our next slide is how to contact us and where we are here at Stones Corner. I think it's pretty self-explanatory. We can go through it. Shop 6, 416 Logan Road. Also, we have a postal address. There's a couple of phone numbers there with a fax number, an email inquiry, general inquiries. Contact Brendan and myself, and a couple of therapists and education team and social work are there. And what I'd like to do now is I might try and see if I can unmute anyone and see if we can have a bit of a chat. If you're interested in having a little bit of a chat or asking a question live. And if I can do that, I will hopefully go from there.
So you can now chat.
I'll have to do it one at a time. So if I click on your name, I'll unmute you and you can ask a question. Can't hear you, my friend. I'm not sure what's happening.
You want me to speak to Russ Bowring?
You maybe have your speaker down or your microphone off.
Microphone, chat, record. No, I did that, didn't I? Stop video, mute here.
David, can you hear us? Yeah, okay, mate. Thank you for that. Everyone, so, but yeah, we can't hear you. I'm not sure what's happening there. So we may have a bit of a technical glitch at this end as well. So I'm not sure what to do about that one at this point in time.
I'll just interrupt here, George. While we're trying to work this technical glitch out, It would be appreciated if you're interested in the next session about the legal matters. If you've got any questions, you could email us, or when you're registering for that session through the form, if you put your questions that you can think of at the time into the form. Otherwise, yeah, once again, we'll open the floor up at the end of the presentation for questions on the day. That would be great. Thank you.
Hello.
Hello.
Okay, so
Hello.
hello.
Is that you, David?
Yeah, it's me. You're Randall?
No, I'm Russell up in the top right
Russell.
corner. Yeah.
Right. Hi. I'm David.
Hi, David. Now, am I supposed to be asking a question?
You can, I think, I would assume.
Sorry,
so.
this is our first time on Zoom.
Ah, right. Well, it's I'm not unfamiliar with Zoom, but it's always a little tricky, particularly the timing of things.
Could I just make a general comment, please? Is it possible we find, I've got a good laptop, we're finding it a bit hard to hear the questions and the discussion? It's not really clear sound. Is there better microphones? Or
I can hear you well.
Right.
How about how am I coming across?
Well, it's more George and Brendan. It seems like it's their microphones.
Yeah. George, can you hear me?
You know what I reckon we should have done? Let's have a session to explain how to use Zoom. Christine Whitty. Is she talking? So why did David go?
Why don't you talk, say to David?
Hello? Hello? Hang on, mute. Mute. What do you mean mute? We don't want it muted. Why would you have it muted? Joe?
Yeah, sorry guys, that was my fault. I had myself muted. Sorry about that.
Did you hear the questions about we're finding it a little bit hard to understand the discussion? Maybe the speakers aren't particularly good quality. I'm not sure.
Yeah, sorry about that, mate. That's probably,
that's better. That's a lot better.
Yeah, sorry about that. I had Brendan had himself unmuted and I had myself muted, so
yeah,
we couldn't hear each other then. So yeah, sorry about that. Hopefully that's
you both got good voices. We want to enjoy them.
I don't know about that, but hopefully you got something out of this session today. I know it's a bit short. It's probably not as long as we would like to have gone because we went through it fairly quickly.
May I just ask a basic one, please? This is our first ever time with Zoom, and we had one of our relations give us a bit of a run through, and I'm sort of busy playing around with things here at the moment. Is it possible, I mean, do other people, would they benefit from having a chat on how to best use this facility and how to best use Zoom? Because we don't want to be holding up the proceedings by dragging our feet a bit. That's
okay, no worries, but we can take that on board, matey, and what I can do is probably have a quiet one-on-one with you and we can go through and how to use Zoom and get used to it, okay?
That'd be great, thanks.
No
one immediate one is the background. All the websites, all the email addresses are in quite large lettering and I can't reduce that, so I can't actually get the whole screen.
Okay.
Is that one you can help us with?
Yeah, that's probably our fault how we've set it up, because they probably have to, you may have to reduce it on the screen. So as I said before, all this will be on the website. So you should be able to see it properly then.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
But you may just have to minimize. You may be able just to pick it up, copy it and paste it into a Word document, then you might be able to see it better.
Right.
But once as I said, we're going to put it up onto the website. And if you'd like, you've got my contact there, email address.
Yep.
Which is G Camboris.
Yes.
You could send me an email later on, and I can connect with you, and we can have a bit of a Zoom session. Then we can run through it.
That'd be terrific. Thank you.
No worries. Thank you for that. Okay, David. Sorry about that, mate. I'll get you to unmute yourself if you like.
So I'm on. Okay, I'm on.
Yeah, no worries. I can hear you now, mate. That was my fault before, and apologies, guys.
Okay.
We're just getting.
I just thought you might. Sorry, I just thought you might have been aware that as the host, you've got the power to mute all of us.
Yes.
And unmute selected voices.
Yeah, well, that's what I tried to
power of mute.
That's what I tried to do before, mate, but you wouldn't let me in, so that's why I muted you.
All right.
So it's all good. So no worries.
Nothing personal.
Thanks for joining us. I might just any questions at all, David?
I was just thinking about the mental health one in the context of work and looking for work. I myself am looking for work at the moment, and I think today I've struggled a little bit. Just a little bit of lack of energy. To do any more searching. But I have had some positive feedback around one of my applications of being considered for something else.
That's
not
great,
the job
mate.
I applied for, but something else in the future. So,
yep. Well, that's really good. That even though you may not be getting the positions that you want, if you're being offered something else, maybe that something else will lead to that position you're looking for.
Well, just a better fit apparently. So
and as I said,
wait and see what happens. Really.
As I said before, David. Don't forget, reach out to us here, or reach out to Jody and Sonia and Laurel to give you some support. In doing all that sort of stuff. Because mental health is a big issue, as you know, for any one of us with SBH. More prevalent in people with SBH. So it is a big thing. So mate, and that's what we're here for. And I think you realise that, and we're all here to help each other.
Yeah, well, that's why I actually dropped in on today's session to give me some of that structure.
That's great, mate. Well, that's what we're here for. So and just to let you guys know that if everything goes to plan, we do hopefully to maybe even do 1 or 2 more a month, if the interest is there. So if we can get the interest that what we're looking for, we will hopefully be able to expand, and instead of having once a month, we might be able to have them twice a month. As I said, just hopefully get the word out and let us know what people think. Okay, thanks, David. Sharon, would you like to say something at all? You can unmute yourself, Sharon, if you like, and because I've just let you unmute yourself.
Yeah, just along those lines of working, I've just started a new job today, actually. Yeah, working from home.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, and it is very nervous and very like with the different emotions and everything. It's hard to keep control of them, and they haven't worked since '92. So
okay, so what position are you doing from home?
Clerical assistant.
Oh, that's nice. That's good. So if you need help, and support,
8 hours a week. So yeah.
Oh, nice. If you need help and support, don't forget to reach out to to us here at SBH, and
Mhm.
we'll hopefully help you where we can.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Because
Yeah.
we're all in it together, as I said to David and everybody else, we're all in it together, and we're here to support, and we're here to support each other. And the more we can support each other, yeah, the better I think we'll be able to help each other.
Yeah. Right.
Okay, so thanks for that, Christine, and I might just put you back on mute. Guys, I know we've got about 10 minutes left, so don't forget we do have next month, first one being legal matters, and we'd really love you to be out there and get the word out to people to contact us and grab the link from us so we can have as many people as possible.